Russia is always present in the world's main news and global topics involving the economy, politics, military power, climate, and energy issues. But why is Russia so important and relevant in the world? Let's find out in this video, but before that, make sure to subscribe to this new channel to see more videos where we will cover, analyze, and reveal economic aspects behind countries' successes and failures, and other interesting economic facts from around the world. First of all, we must clarify that any type of analysis will always be incomplete. When simplifying what we're going to analyze and use as data, some information must be left out. So for this analysis, we decided to select 5 topics that we consider essential to understand the relevance and importance of Russia in the world. The selected topics are military power, energy, economy, geography and social, and geopolitics. With that clarification, let's study the data that will help you understand once and for all why Russia is one of the main pieces in world chess. The first factor in understanding Russia's importance in the world is its military power. Starting with the most relevant data of all in this field, according to the Arms Control Association, Russia is simply the country with the largest number of nuclear warheads. In other words, the most powerful weapon that exists. The country has a total of 6,257 warheads, against 5,550 for the second place, the United States. The two countries together account for more than 90% of the world's arsenal. This alone would be enough to justify all the importance and roles of Russia in the world. But let's delve deeper. Other data related to Russia's military power can be seen by looking at the Global Firepower Index. This index, created by Global Firepower, shows the military power of countries, considering more than 50 indicators. Among other indicators observed, there are, for example, the number of weapons, the size of the army, the country's natural resources, and its geography. All these indicators are compiled into an index, and the lower the index value, the stronger the country. According to the latest survey for 2022, Russia ranks second with a rating of 0.0501, behind the United States with a rating of just 0.0453. In other words, Russia is the second strongest country in military terms by this indicator. To get an idea of Russia's military power, the country has 850,000 troops and over 42,000 tanks and vehicles that form the ground force. More than 5,000 aircrafts making up the Air Force, and more than 600 ships composing the naval force. Thus, we can see that Russia is one of the most important countries in the world due to its military power and the ability to influence the fate of Earth with more than 6,000 nuclear warheads. The second factor to understand the importance of Russia in the world is in the energy field. Russia is one of the most powerful countries when it comes to energy. According to British Petroleum's latest World Energy Statistical Review, 83.1% of the world's energy comes from just 3 sources. First is oil, with 31.2%. In second place is coal, with 27.2%. And in third place is natural gas, with 24.7%. Now let's see the power of Russia in each of these sources. Starting with oil, Russia is the country with the 6th largest oil reserves in the world. In addition, it is currently the 3rd largest oil producer. Thus, it is a key piece in the dynamics of the most important commodity in the world, dictating its course. Moving on to coal, we can see that Russia is the second country with the largest coal reserves on the planet. Finally, we come to Russia's third and perhaps most important energy asset, the natural gas. The country has the largest natural gas reserve in the world, with approximately 1.7 trillion cubic meters, representing almost 1/4 of all natural gas on the planet, or almost 25%. In addition, the country is the main natural gas supplier to Europe, supplying approximately 35% of the natural gas used in the European Union. Europe's situation of fragility and dependence on Russia is even greater since natural gas is the second most used energy source in the European Union, only behind oil. The natural gas consumption corresponds to approximately 22% of the continent's energy consumption. From all this data, we can see that Russia practically dominates the main energy sources and natural resources on the planet, which corresponds to 83.1% of the world's energy matrix, and is also the main energy supplier to several European countries. And as everything in countries, economies, and societies depends on energy, Russia is able to dictate a good part of the world's rules. The third factor to understand the importance of Russia in the world is in the field of economy. Russia is the 11th largest economy in the world, with a GDP of approximately 1.6 trillion US dollars. In addition, it is the 5th largest economy in Europe. Another interesting fact about the country is that according to the Central Bank of Russia, the country has approximately 643 billion US dollars in international reserves. This makes Russia the 4th country with the most international reserves in the world. All this data is just a few numbers that shows Russia's economic strength. Now, let's move on to the fourth factor. The fourth factor to understand the importance of Russia in the world is in the field that we are calling Geographic and Social. We will consider two aspects, its territory and its population. Russia is the largest country in the world in terms of territory. It has approximately 17 million square kilometers of territory and represents 3.3% of the Earth's territory. Furthermore, according to the theory of the father of modern geopolitics, Halford Mackinder, the territory of Russia is located in the heartland, or the heart of the Earth. In Mackinder's words, whoever rules Eastern Europe rules Heartland. He who rules Heartland rules the island of the world. He who rules the island of the world rules the whole world. In addition to its territory, Russia has the 9th largest population in the world, with approximately 145 million people. This population is a powerful asset to the country, as it allows the formation of a large army in the military field and a large domestic consumer market in the economic field. Thus, in addition to its strategic geographic position and vast territory, Russia also has a significant population. Before we explain the fifth and last factor, don't forget to like the video so we can bring you more content. The fifth and final factor for understanding Russia's importance in the world is geopolitics. Russia is one of the most powerful and influential countries when it comes to geopolitics. Geopolitics can be defined as the set of actions carried out within the scope of power by governments and countries, which basically involves all the above-mentioned themes and others that may impact international relations. In other words, Russia has the ability to plan, manage, and execute its global influence by using all the previous points in its favor and according to its own interests in the game of international power. As examples, we can cite the use mainly of its military power to influence the decisions of the United Nations Security Council. The United Nations Security Council is a United Nations body whose mandate is to ensure the maintenance of international peace and security. It is the only body in the international system capable of adopting binding decisions for all 193 United Nations member states, and may even authorize military intervention to guarantee the execution of its resolutions. It is made up of 15 members, 5 permanent and 10 non-permanent. According to Article 23 of the Charter of the United Nations, the 5 permanent members of the Security Council are China, France, Russia, United Kingdom, and the United States of America. These 5 countries have the power of veto and can block any resolution and decision of the United Nations Security Council. In other words, Russia is one of the few countries in the world where this kind of power is one of the most important bodies of the UN. Another example is Russia's participation and influence in OPEC and its impacts on oil. OPEC, or Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries, is a cartel formed by 13 countries that are important oil producers and that control and influence the quantity produced and the price of oil in the world. Its extended version is OPEC+, which includes the 13 OPEC countries plus other partner countries that are also major oil producers, such as Russia. In fact, although Russia is not part of OPEC itself, it has more powers than many of its members, being on an equal power position with Saudi Arabia, which is the leader of OPEC. We can prove this by remembering the fight between Russia and Saudi Arabia at the March 2020 OPEC meeting, when Russia's decision to not follow OPEC and Saudi Arabia's policy made the price of oil, the world's most important energy source, drop by 30% in just one day. That drop became the biggest one-day drop in 30 years since the 1991 Gulf War. These two examples demonstrate how Russia manages to use its influence and thus have a high strategic power in world geopolitics. Well, now that you know more about Russia and why it is so important and relevant in the world, help this channel by saying what other countries or economic subjects you'd like us to analyze. Leave your answer in the comments below, and don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to our new channel for new videos where we will cover, analyze, and reveal economic aspects behind countries' successes and failures, and other interesting economic facts from around the world. Oh, and don't forget to activate the bell to stay on top of the news on this channel. We'll see you in the next one. Until then,